So my name is Antoine, MPH student at the Mailman, and also a medical doctor from Canada.
I'm Adam Snyder. I'm a first-year MHA student and really excited to speak with you guys. Thank you for your time.
First of all, RISE stands for Reimagining Infection Safety Engagement, and it really brings out sort of this idea of reconnecting the people, the community within New York, basically with infection safety measures.
We basically work on the subway stations where we collected by our hand sanitizer station, looking at the percentage of people that used it or just walked by it. And we did this at 2 different sites on the Columbia Medical campus.
A little bit of background about RISE. So during the pandemic, I was in Montreal. And basically in Montreal, there's also a great sort of metro system. And in Montreal, in each of those sort of metro stations, there would be hand sanitizers like those, who were maintained not only during the pandemic, but also following the pandemic. Coming to New York in August, I was expecting either the same or even a little better. My head was really pulled out of the sand when taking my first ride in the subway system here in New York. Not only the hand sanitizers were not maintained, so there was literally no way to sort of wash your hands after touching those poles in the metro system. There is one study that showed that touching the sort of a pole in the metro system in New York is it literally like shaking hands with 10,000 people. Does it mean that people should not be touching the handlebars? No. That being said, if we could implement initiatives like those to make sure that when people enter the metro station and exit it, they can make sure that their hands are safe, then I think that's sort of the whole purpose. So the first thing, and I think we need to be honest about it, is that we were expecting people to use it more. Placing a hand sanitizer just outside of a metro station, we were expecting, I don't know, like 20%, 30% of people using it. Reality, it's much, much lower than this. There are multiple factors for this. The first thing is that it's new, so people aren't really aware of it. We really sort of see our stations in 3 different locations. So the first one is really the metro station, or rather just outside of the metro station. The second sort of type of location is really the bodegas. And the third location is really the restaurants. And so one sort of our evaluation methods is really to sort of partner with the owners of those bodegas and really to look through the security cameras on how many people enter the bodega, and basically out of this number, how many people actually use the hand sanitizer.
We are working on the second pilot test to see how exactly this usage works. And then also we're building a comprehensive map of all the bodegas, places of worship that are here in the Washington Heights area so that we can implement and place these hand sanitizers there. And so working on that, we're also building a grassroots movement here in the community to really basically propel the awareness for this campaign. We've really learned just how important it is to engage with community and having to build that community and that village together for this project and also to sustain it in the future.
And we feel that it's going to take time. The more the hand sanitizer are placed there and that they know that it's from RISE, the more we think people will use it.
We really want to make sure that RISE and Columbia University have this brand that we can actually show as an accreditation that these restaurants and local businesses are committed to public safety. I think that we are at a critical juncture. We have so much support from the community, from our professors, from local leaders, that now is a point where we need to take all of that and really propel her to the next step. Right now, it means taking the second part of the pilot project, finishing that up. It means getting in contact with more local leaders to get official support from the government in order to create real positive policy change. And on top of that, making sure that we have a sustainable team at Columbia working with the university to integrate it into our classes and part of the education system so that it continues to be a student-led initiative with the community in mind.
And one thing we really see with those sort of student-led initiatives is that there's sort of a backslide once students sort of leave the university, which is why for us it's really important to sort of embed the project, embed RISE within Columbia, such as embedding within classes like Dr. Robert Fulilov's class, which is going to make sure that really the project is sustainable and lasts more than just 1 semester or 2 semesters.
I think there are a lot of health and social gaps that are needing to be addressed in the Washington Heights community that really go hand in hand together. In a sentence, I think the New York Presbyterian Hospital and Columbia University Medical Center have long perpetuated a 2-tier system of care between that really keeps Washington Heights residents outside the Ivy Gates of one of the best medical institutions in the world. So we really need to take steps to make sure that New York Presbyterian Hospital and Columbia Medical Center are better neighbors in the community that it's situated in.
And that really involves literally going into the bodegas, speaking with people, and really sort of build projects that are about them and with them as well. That's sort of the whole concept of RISE, going into the community and making an impact. Small incremental impact that hopefully will accumulate into bigger steps. So we want to partner with the MTA. Well, this was quite naive to think that, two students, although very driven and ambitious, would speak and get into a meeting with the MTA in a couple of weeks. So we had to sort of find a creative way of still placing those hand sanitizers just outside of the metro stations, and that basically involved partnering with parks. Our partnership has been incredible, placing those hand sanitizers just outside of the stations on the areas that are owned by parks. And after this, we partner with the CDC Foundation. We really see this sort of as a potential to sort of really grow across the nation and really sort of build this more proactive future post-pandemic. The Mailman has been phenomenal. Our collaboration with them has been phenomenal, whether that's from our supervisor, Professor Heather Butts, and also with Dr. Robert Fulilov, really helping us sort of build infrastructure for this project. And most importantly, really the community leaders, such as Coach Dave, have played an instrumental role into sort of connecting with those local churches owners, the bodegas, the restaurants, and the community to really build something that's meaningful for people here.
These people come together and breathe life into this initiative in a way that just as individuals, as us two, are unable to do.
I would love to have sort of a framework that's built for student-led initiatives, small little grants or funding, even buying the first dispenser. We needed that concretely to even build the first sort of pilot program. So I think building this infrastructure to make sure that students not only read in textbooks and attend lectures, but also are able to sort of translate what they learn in class into real, actual, meaningful impact work in the community. And that includes obviously resources. Those resources could include sort of financial resources, but also admin and also communications. And Adam has been really phenomenal at sort of building this sort of communications standpoint, seriously, but we need support for that. And again, an initiative like this one is great for us because we need people to talk about it so that basically we can expand the initiative.
Well, from my standpoint, I always think that the Columbia University Medical Center can do a lot more to engage with the community, but of course it works both ways. I think it means local leaders and representatives coming together and getting in contact with superstar advocates and champions at Columbia like Dr. Heather Butts and Dr. Fulilov, who are really committed to projects that integrate the community into them. That's the first essential part, and making sure that they participate in projects like RISE, where we are trying to seek that collaboration with the community, with students, and working on that shared vision to improve the world, starting here at home in Washington Heights.
Obviously, you can see that we're both extremely ambitious and very driven. All that being said, there are some moments where there's just nothing you can do except sort of waiting and waiting for that meeting. So also, I think sort of not lowering the expectations, but understanding that those initiatives, when they're built properly, take a lot of time. And that's also fine because it ensures that all the stakeholders are involved within the process. Really shifting the gears from having quick fixes to sort of long-term solutions that require a lot of time and efforts, I think is also a meaningful advice.